Okay, so as I said, welcome back. So for our next talk, we've got someone who I'd like to introduce who has built and sold multiple businesses. And across that journey, they became passionate about a way of working that helped them to achieve that. He's now sharing these principles and supporting businesses to do as he's already done. So today's talk is about right people, right seats, with a focus on how to build a strong leadership team ready for growth. So I know there's people here and really keen to hear this talk. Please, at the end of the talk, ask some really difficult questions to Jason Green from Workcraft.
Thanks. Thanks, Kieran. Thanks very much for the intro. Let me just tell you, not all the businesses I ran was successful, but let's just start. Let me just share my screen. Let me share my screen here. So here we go. So hopefully you can all see that. So we're going to be talking about getting the right people in the right seats today, and how you must have both to really have any chance of achieving your vision. So the agenda, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about, I want to sort of introduce you to EOS. So I don't know, the EOS stands for the Entrepreneurial Operating System. And actually, before I move forward, it'd be great to get a little understanding about the audience and how many of you have actually heard of EOS and the Entrepreneurial Operating System. Some of you may have seen it in this book called Traction by Gino Wickman. So yeah, we got Kieran that says yes, that they've heard of EOS and the Entrepreneurial Operating System. If nobody else answers, I will assume that it's a no. So, because I want to introduce you to EOS today, so that's great. You're going to learn exactly what EOS is. Then I'm going to you to the EOS model and how you can use it to strengthen what we call the 6 key components of your business and help you really get what you want from your business. And then we're going to do a deep dive on getting the right people in the right seats, and especially at the leadership team, and how doing that can really help you move your business forward. So let's go to the first part of the agenda, which is about us. So just a brief history. Everything I'm going to share with you today was created by a lifelong entrepreneur by the name of Gino Wickman. He wrote this book called Traction. I recommend you get this book. And so he's a lifelong entrepreneur. At the age of, he's been an entrepreneur since he was 21. At the age of 25, he was asked to come in and run his family business, and he found that it was in need of a turnaround. So he worked with the leadership team over a period of 3 years to turn that business around, and eventually ran the business for 7 years, and then sold the business and spent 1.5 years transitioning in the new leadership team. At the same time as doing that, he was one of the founding members of the EO Detroit chapter, which is a peer group for business owners in the US, now in the UK as well. And in working with the other members of that chapter, he found that he had a real knack and passion for the art and science of running truly great entrepreneurial organizations. So when he retired from his family business, he just decided to pursue that knack and passion. And that's when he started cobbling together EOS, which is just a set of simple, real world, practical tools that, have been around for 100 years, will be around for 1,000 more. And, it's what's interesting is when you dig into EOS, there's no magic pills or silver bullets there. It's already common sense, but this is a really nice way of harmonizing all the moving parts in your business. And so since Gino created EOS, he and myself and another 400 EOS implementers around the world have carried out about 70,000 full-day sessions for the leadership teams of about 10,000 companies. And what's great about EOS is you can help you get someone like me to help you implement it, but also you can take the book and you can read the book and you can implement the system yourself, which is exactly what I did. And so when you implement EOS in your business, it's going to help you and your leadership team get better at 3 things that we call vision, traction, healthy. So vision is just all getting you 100% on the same page with where you're going and how you plan to get there. Traction is making sure that wherever you go throughout the organization, you see people executing on that vision with discipline and accountability. And healthy means making you a healthy, cohesive, fun-loving team that loves spending time together. And so what you'd find is, if you can get that working with the leadership team, what we find is as goes the leadership team, so goes the rest of the organization. You get to the point where everybody in the organization is 100% on the same page with your vision, executing that vision with discipline and accountability, and working as a cohesive, functioning team that, that really, is enjoying their time together. So EOS is designed for entrepreneurial organizations, growing organizations. Most of the clients that engage with us are clients between 10 and 250 staff, and they tend to be growth orientated, open-minded, and they're willing, their owners and leaders are willing to be, open, honest, and vulnerable with themselves and the people around them. And it's really for those business owners that are more afraid of the status quo than they are of change. So it doesn't really matter what size your business is. If you're looking to grow your business, EOS could be a great model for your business. And like I said, you can buy the book, implement it yourself, or find someone to help you do that. So just quickly, a little bit about myself, my own background. I've had a few successes and a few failures. The last business that I was running, I was probably your typical business owner. I was running an IT managed service provider company, and I was just I was in too many seats. I was doing too much within the business. I'd grown it. It was doing well, but it was overwhelming. The business was controlling me. I felt like my people didn't care as much as I did, and I was just going to burn out. Something had to change, and I was lucky enough that someone introduced me to EOS, gave me this book. And this book really changed my life. I thought it was just going to be another one of those airport books, but how wrong could I have been? I read the book in 2 days. I went back into the business and implemented the system outlined in the book with my leadership team. And fast forward, about 3 years, I got myself down to 2 days a week, and I sold my business last year. And so in that journey, I just found that, my passion was to help other entrepreneurs get what they want from their business. And, for me, it was, to have a more of a lifestyle business and sell my business. So, just you guys being here and being introduced to EOS is just great for me. I hope it has the same impact on your life as it did on mine. So next part of the agenda is the EOS model. So I'm going to introduce you to what EOS is and how you can use it to get what you want from your business. So the best way for me to explain EOS is with a model with your business at the center. And this model stems from a discovery that every entrepreneur, every entrepreneurial leader is wrestling with 136 issues simultaneously. And that discovery tells us, to the extent that you can strengthen the 6 key components of your business, those 136 issues will just fall into place, because they're really just symptoms of the true root cause. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain what these 6 key components are, first at a high level. And then once I've done that, once I've gone through the model, we're then going to do a deep dive in the people component, where I'm going to share with you the specific tools and disciplines we use to help people get the right people in the right seats. But you need to have an idea of the overview before we do that. So the first key component of your business, of any business, is the vision component. And this is just getting you all 100% on the same page with where you're going and how you plan to get there. The second key component is the people component. And this is the one we're going to spend some additional time on after we've gone through the model. So the people component, quite simply, you cannot achieve a great vision without great people. And truth be told, everybody defines great people differently. So when we spend a little time on the people component, we're going to cut through all those wonderful terms out there like A player, superstar, upper quartile, and get right to the heart of what makes for great people in your unique organization. The third key component is your data component. And this is just running your business on facts and figures and objective information rather than the feelings, egos, and emotions that often drive decision-making in entrepreneurial organizations. And what happens when you strengthen your vision, your people, and your data component, everything in your business is going to become transparent and crystal clear. You're going to have all the impurities, imperfections, obstacles, challenges, and needs are just going to jump right out at you. And that leads us very nicely on to the fourth key component, which is the issues component. And strengthening the issues component is just getting really great at solving your issues as they arise. You cannot achieve success unless you're great at setting your issues up, your problems up as they arise, knocking them down and making them go away forever. The process component is the fifth key component. And this is just getting all the important stuff in your business done the best and right way every time. It creates consistency and scalability within your business. It makes it more manageable, more fun, and ultimately you're going to be making more profit when everything in your business is done the right and best way every time. And then the sixth key component is the traction component. And so traction is about bringing your vision down to the ground and executing on your vision day in and day out. There's no coincidence that vision is at the top of the model and traction is at the bottom, because if you can't bring your vision down to the ground and execute on it well, then vision without traction is hallucination. So those are the six key components. These six key components make up the EOS model. And EOS is a way of harmonizing and orchestrating all the moving parts in your business to help you run a better business and live a better life. And so if you go on this EOS journey, the journey is just designed to help you strengthen the six key components of your business. And so when I talk about that journey, if you're on this journey, you can measure your progress on this journey with a scientific but subjective scale of 0 to 100%. So you can work together with your team to get each of these six key components to 100% strong. Really sort of knowing that that's impossible, that's utopia because the bar keeps moving. But really what you're trying to do is get 80% strong in each of these six key components. And knowing that most organizations are operating about 20% strong in each of these six key components, succeeding in spite of themselves. So you can take yourself on a journey or work with someone like me to strengthen each of these six key components, get you to 80% strong or better. And ultimately, you're going to be running a better business and living a better life. So that's the EOS model. I'm just seeing if there's any questions does anybody have any questions about the EOS model as a whole before we move forward to the deep dive on people? No, looks all good. Okay. So let's talk about, importantly, getting the right people in the right seats. So when we talk about right people, when we talk about the people component, like I've said, we talk about two things that we call right people in the right seats. And these are two terms popularized by Jim Collins in his book, Good to Great. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and define these more clearly for you and make them a little bit more tangible. And so just remember, right people, right seats, you've got to have both in your organization to achieve your vision. So let's take the first one, right people. So for those of you, hopefully some or all of you have got core values. And so if you haven't got core values, I urge you to take the time to sit down with your leadership team and discover and define your core values. And so remember, core values are the attributes and characteristics of the people that you want in your organization. And if you can surround yourself with all the people that have the same characteristics and attributes, that's going to build your culture within your organization. Now, the tool we use, so once you've defined your core values, and here's our EOS core values. Our EOS core values are humbly confident, grow or die, help first, do the right thing, and do what you say. And so once you've defined and discovered your core values, hopefully you've got those already, we then use the people analyzer. And so the people analyzer, this is a tool that we use to help you analyze, assess all your people, whether or not, black or white, they consistently exhibit your core values. And better still, it facilitates clear and effective communication where they're succeeding and where they're falling short. So you can download this tool and all the other tools in the EOS toolbox for free at the EOS worldwide website. And I think Kieran is going to put a link to this and all the other tools. I think there's about 20 tools in the toolbox. And so the way that you use the people analyzer, as you can see, you put and you can do this for your leadership team and also do it for everybody in your organization. You can put your core values along the top and the people that you want to analyze down the left-hand side. And then you need to rate all of your core people, or all of your people, with a rating system. And the rating system we use is very simple. It's a plus, it's a minus, and it's a plus minus. And so if you've got someone in your organization, for example, who consistently, most of the time exhibits the core value, you give them a plus. If most of the time they do not exhibit the core value, you give them a minus. And if sometimes they exhibit the core value, you give them a plus minus. So it's a very easy system. It's a plus, a minus, and a plus minus. And so I urge you to rate all your people. And what you need to do is you need to set your organization, set a bar. What is the minimum combination of pluses and plus minuses that you will accept in your organization? So for us at EOS worldwide, it's 3 pluses and 2 plus minuses, any combination of those. And so you want to use this tool to really help you hire, fire, review, reward, and recognize your people. And so when you're hiring people, you want to define, you want your questioning to be along the lines to help you understand whether this person that you're looking to hire is going to consistently exhibit these core values. With people that you have in your business, you need to be assessing them on a regular basis to see if they're living up to your bar. And if anybody drops below the bar, you can then give them consistent feedback and give them opportunity to raise the way they work and the way they contribute within your organization to get themselves back up to your bar. And so, like I said, this becomes a great tool to help you have those great conversations and assess how well your people are doing in exhibiting your core values or not exhibiting your core values. And obviously, if someone is below the bar on a regular basis, you probably need to do something about that. So that is how we use the people analyzer. Get your core values and rate all your people plus, minus, or minus to get right people in your organization. The second thing we need to do is get everybody in the right seat. And the tool we use for that is a tool that we call the accountability chart. And the way that works is you need to take a big step back with your team and work together to identify the right structure for your unique organization. And now the accountability chart, which is another tool that you can download, is based on the basic belief, the basic assumption and premise that every organization has only 3 major functions. So every organization has a marketing and sales function where you go out to the marketplace, generate demand, and turn that demand into sales. Every organization has an operating function where you build or deliver a service. And every organization has a finance function where you manage money coming in and out of the company, and you manage assets. And so ultimately, you're going to tailor the major functions in your organization so they're the right functions for your unique organization. We then move to the assumption that every great organization has a 4th major function that we call the integrator. Now, the integrator is the person that beats the drum of the company. They're the glue that holds everything together. They drive accountability and harmoniously integrate how the leadership team plays together to achieve a common vision. And so once we agree on the major functions in your organization, we then go about crystallizing the 5 major roles for each member of the leadership team, so that we're absolutely clear on what the accountabilities are for each person in these seats. And so once you understand this fundamental belief and basic structure, we then go about customizing the accountability chart so it's the right structure for your organization. And we do this in 2 ways. Firstly, at the major function level of the organization, we have to decide how many major functions there are and what they truly are, because sometimes marketing and sales might get split out into marketing and sales. In operations, you might have 1, 2, or 3 services or products that you deliver. And in finance, that might get split out into IT and HR. 3 to 7 is the rule of thumb. We've just got to get it right for your organization. The second way we customize the accountability chart at the leadership team level is 50% of those people that implement EOS, this is how their accountability chart looks. There's an integrator running the day-to-day. The other 50% of the time, there's a 5th seat that gets added, which we call the visionary. And so the visionary is the person that likes being at 30,000 feet. They come to every meeting with 20 ideas. They are creative problem solvers. They hate being in the trenches. They like the big relationships. They don't like the tough conversations. That's best done by the integrator. And if there is a visionary in your organization, you need to call it out, because when you have a visionary stuck in an integrator seat, you're going to get 90-day spikes in your business, then chaos will ensue, because they just can't stay engaged long enough to sustain that energy and follow through. And to be honest, I was a classic case of being a visionary in an integrator seat. I held my business back for many years until I did this exercise and realized that I was in the wrong seat. And getting an integrator in my business really changed my business and made a huge difference. So if there is a visionary in your business, you've got to call it out, and you've got to clarify the 5 roles of the visionary and the 5 roles of the integrator, and make sure the roles of these 2 leaders are crystal clear. Because as I said, visionary in an integrator seat, it kills them. It killed me, that's for sure. So that's the way the accountability chart is built out at the leadership team level. Those are the roles and responsibilities. We then go about building out the accountability. We're sort of building out the roles and responsibilities for every team in your organization, ultimately crystallizing every seat. And then we go about putting people in seats, so what they love to do, what they're great at, and what they can consistently execute on matches the 5 roles in the seat. It's always important to do structure first, people second, rather than what many of us do is we meet someone, we think they'd be good in our business, and then we create a seat for them. I urge you to take the opposite approach, build your structure, the roles, and then put people in seats. And so what you eventually get to is you eventually get to the point where everybody in your organization are right people, folks that consistently exhibit your core values in the right seats. You've got to have both. And when you use these tools and follow this process, you're going to get 2 very, very distinct people issues. The first one you're going to get is when you've got the right person in the wrong seat. I say, so this is someone you love. They're great to be around. They're just not very good at their job. And so hopefully, if you've got an organization big enough, you can move them to a seat that they will be able to execute on well. But if they're not, I'm going to urge with you, I urge with you and I plead with you to make a change, because, I assume you're running for for-profit organizations. You can't keep people in your business just because they're fun to be around. The second issue you're going to get is when you have the wrong person in the right seat. And so this is someone that's highly productive. They're hitting their numbers on a regular basis, but they're just not the right person. They just don't exhibit your core values. And so they're sort of digging away at your culture right now in ways you can't see. So when that's the case, once again, I beg with you and plead with you to make a change, because they're doing more harm than good. They're going to kill you in the long run. So 100% strong in the people component is when all your people are right people, folks that consistently exhibit your core value in the right seats, doing a job that they're great at, that they love to do, that they can consistently execute on. And the closer you can get to 100% right people, right seats, the chances of you achieving your vision are significantly higher. So that's EOS. That is a deep dive on the people component. I see we have a question. We're going on to questions. We have a question from Joanne White. She says, do you see the integrator having a specific project role on the management team, or are they an ops director who gets shit done? So I would 100% agree with you. They are more like an ops. Well, it depends. They might sit in both seats, but they are the person that really drives the business. So they're more like, if you wanted to put a label on it, they're more sort of like a COO, Chief Operating Officer, where they're ensuring that all the major functions are working together to achieve a common vision and holding everybody accountable. But they are the person that makes sure ultimately that all the shit gets done. And unlike a visionary, they tend to stay very focused on getting it done and don't go off and look at the shiny things and go off in different directions. I hope that answers your question, Joanna.
Thanks, Jason. I'll give an opportunity for people to ask more questions as well, but I've got a couple myself here. So the first one is, I know that some people on here are going to have a lot smaller businesses in the operational chart that you displayed there.
Yep.
So if you've got a smaller business, how does this fit with a smaller business?
Yeah, so it's still the same principles, but in a smaller business, you will probably have one person in multiple seats. So, you might be the visionary, the integrator, and you might be head of sales. You might have the sales team. Okay. But what's great about that is as you grow, at some point, you're going to have to hire someone, because ultimately you want to get to one person in one seat throughout the organization. So as you grow, it's going to help you understand which seats you love best, and then which seats you need to hire for, and what are the 5 roles that person is going to be accountable for.
I suppose that helps with things like job descriptions, recruitment, that whole process. It kind of stops it being a gut feeling as much, or a feeling of kind of, I know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody kind of recruitment, into this is the kind of person we need. Let's go find that person.
Exactly. So you say, this is the seat I want. These are the 5 major roles. From those roles, you create a job description. And then from your core values, you use that in the interview process to make sure that you're hiring people that are going to consistently exhibit those core values and are 100% right for the seat.
I think that's the key thing here as well. Is I know you've only deep dived into this part of the EOS, but those core values are the real fundamentals of getting this right, aren't they? Because they're the things that are going to define those characteristics for that team member, aren't they?
Exactly. And by consistently exhibiting those core values at the leadership team and throughout the organization, that's what creates your culture. So culture really, if you live and breathe your core values and not just have them stuck up on the wall, which many people do, that's what really just creates your culture, because everybody, has the same values.
Fab. We got a question from Matt Sedgwick here as well. I am a shiny things person. Should I embrace or learn to change?
Embrace every time.
Not as straightforward.
I'm a shiny things person. And so, we all, when we start a business, we all have to take the integrator seat. Yeah. It's just something you've got to do, because if you don't, you're never going to get anywhere at all. But as you grow the business and as you grow up, there's a point where you have to take a step back and say, look, I'm holding the business back because, I'm just not that detailed person and I don't enjoy it. And so you also start to resent your business a little bit because you're not doing the stuff that you enjoy doing.
That got a woohoo from Matt. So yeah. I think he was with that. So
I would definitely embrace it. Create your accountability chart, work out exactly what that integrator seat is going to do, and get someone to do it. Embrace what you love and are best at doing.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jason. Are there any other questions for Jason there?
I'd like to add one thing that's really important about the accountability chart.
Go ahead.
Is that when you're building it out, it's really important that you only ever have one person in each seat. Because it's the reason why it's called an accountability chart. It's because it's who is accountable for the 5 things that are in that seat.
So how would you implement an accountability chart? So obviously, let's say you've got your accountability chart then. If that accountability is important, how do you monitor, review, how do you actually physically do the holding people accountable in that? Yeah. You've got your chart written. What happens then? Yeah.
Okay. So there's two things. We can go back to the model. So the first thing, as a leadership team, say you're the integrator and you've got 3 to 7 functions, and so you want to make sure that they're doing whatever in their boxes in the seats. So first thing is rocks. So to have, and this also goes back to the vision, because first of all, you want to get your whole leadership team on the same page with your vision. And so the vision bit is about answering 8 simple questions. What are your core values? What's your core focus? What's your 10-year target? What's your marketing strategy? What's your 3-year picture, your 1-year plan, your quarterly rocks, and what are your issues? And so you can download, you can keep these 8 questions. It's on a document called the Vision Traction Organizer. You can download that also from the tool. It's free on the toolbox. And if you can answer those 8 questions with your leadership team, you've got everybody on the same page with where you're going. Then you need to set quarterly rocks or quarterly priorities, whatever you want to call it. We call them rocks. Quarterly rocks with your team. So every member is accountable for achieving their rocks every 90 days. And so every 90 days, you need to get back together as a team and make sure that everybody's completed their rocks, get 80% of their rocks done every 90 days. So that's creating accountability at a sort of a higher level. And then you need to filter that all the way down into the organization. Ultimately, you want to get to the point where everybody in your organization has at least one rock every 90 days. At a sort of more micro or macro, what's the right words? What's the smaller level? Macro level. We have you want to set you want to have a weekly meeting with your team. We call it the level 10 with what we call the level 10 agenda. And in there you want to have a scorecard. So that's about data. So a scorecard is having numbers that everybody on your leadership team is accountable for 1, 2, or 3 of those numbers. So, in sales, it might be in marketing, it might be number of leads this week. Okay. And each measurable on the scorecard has got a goal. Okay. So you can see, and we have 13 weeks of history at a glance. So what you can see is for a particular measurable that's owned by someone on the leadership team, there's a goal, and you can see if they're tracking that goal up or down. And so if it's off track, you then need to do something about it and work together as a leadership team. So you're tracking accountability at a quarterly at a sort of higher level, and at a macro level, you're dealing with that weekly accountability. Are you on track with your numbers on a weekly basis that are going to help you achieve your monthly, quarterly, and annual goals?
Fab. So it's a bit like key performance indicators. Then you're putting those key measurements in your business in the different areas to drive it forward.
Exactly.
Track and manage.
Yeah.
Fab. And you mentioned there about, obviously, let's say you're a business of 1 or even 2. We're talking like sort of ultra small, and obviously initially that chart is just me, and maybe one thing over here is somebody else. Like, how do you prioritize where to fit, which seat to fit first? Is it the one that you're worst at? Is it the one that, is it always going to be sales, for example? Or is it when you enjoy the least? I mean, where do you start?
Yeah. So, in a small company, always do structure first and think 6 to 12 months ahead. So, integrator, sales and marketing, operations, finance, and anything that's underneath. Because you might outsource some stuff. So if you outsource something to do with marketing, that could be a seat, and then you're holding that person or that company accountable by creating the seat. Okay. So always look 6 to 12 months out and create that accountability chart. And then obviously you're in multiple seats. So, and I would say, there's another great tool in the toolbox called Delegate and Elevate. And then I think that's in there. And what you want to do, in that tool, there's 4 quadrants, and where you basically list out everything you do in a week. So as a busy entrepreneur in all those seats, you're doing a lot of stuff in a week. And so you list them all out, and then you populate this quadrant. And what's really interesting at the bottom is stuff that you don't like and you're not good at. That's one quadrant. And stuff that you don't like but you've got good at. And we all go there. There's so much stuff we do. 90% of the working population goes to die in that don't like and but have got good at it. And so you need to look at your accountability chart, and anything that's below the line, you need to get someone to delegate and elevate that to. So I would focus on getting rid of the stuff that you don't like and you're not good at, and you don't like and you're good at.
Yeah, I suppose it's interesting because it's kind of it hits really well with our philosophy in terms of the finance function. Obviously we've got different levels of of what we offer for our customers, and some people have more of sort of the compliance service and a telephone contact, whereas others have this sort of FD level service where we're attending those meetings with them and helping them from a management level. And I guess it fits quite nicely into that as almost like the gap before you can get to the FD level, where you'd really like to have a financial director, but actually you've got somebody for now. You can bring somebody in who is can support in that level. So there's an element where you can sort of use other services, outsource to kind of build that growth process.
Yeah, I mean, you could say, okay, I've got a seat here, and that seat has these 5 roles. I can't afford to hire someone, but we could use Stride, for example. But we could say we could use Stride and make them accountable for these things, these 5. So it's very clear what you want from Stride. You could set scorecard numbers for Stride, so that because whether it's someone's filling that seat internally or externally, it's still the same thing. Whoever's in that seat is accountable for those 5 roles.
I really like that. It fits really nicely with our kind of partnership philosophy. So that's really, I really like that idea. Are there any final questions from anyone, or Jason, do you have anything else you'd like to say before we bring this session to close?
I've got one thing. So let me just say. So I'm on a mission. So I've set myself a goal of giving away 1,000 of these books by the end of 2022. And so I've given away about 200, and I think it's standing at about 296 at the moment. So if anyone would like me to pop a copy of that book in the post for you, it really, as I said, it really did change my life. It potentially could change yours. Just send me an email to jg@workcraft.com, and I will put, with your address, and I will pop a copy in the post for you.
Fab. Thanks very much, Jason. I've dropped that into the chat for people there.
Brilliant.
Excellent. Thanks very much for talking as well. So
you're welcome.